All right, it is time to go skate. All right, so definitely been some updates lately. The podcast, this YouTube channel, everything's probably going to take a little bit of a hit because of my own personal finances, and seeing as I am the one financing these things by myself, they're probably going to take a hit because of just my own personal financial problems. But I will do as much as I can. But anyways, this was just a little skate session, and just trying to practice some things. So the ollie's there. I was trying to ollie up over the little box of chalk, which is about maybe 4 inches tall. But not just ollie. So I was trying to get my back trucks to clear it decisively, because there are some curbs around here that are about 4 inches tall. So if I can clear that, land on the board steady and without the board turning in the air, because I tend to have this little shoulder thing where the board starts to kind of turn a little bit one way or the other. And if you try to, and if you're ollieing up onto and I figure if I ollie up onto a curb and I end up turning like that, it's just going to stop. Because the momentum, my body's momentum's going one way, the board's trying to go that same way, but then it hits the wheels at an angle and won't roll in that same direction as the momentum. So the board will stop, I'll keep going, I'll fall off. The point is to land on the board and keep going. So I'm just trying to do that with no consequences on the grass versus just going and falling a bunch of times. So I figure once I can do that, ollie up and on to the grass and make it, nice and straight to where the board's facing the same direction that my momentum is going, and the back trucks clear it, and I can do that consistently, and I'm gonna head over to there, and actually start ollieing onto curbs and off curbs and get the timing right and whatever, and go both front side onto and front side off and back side on and back side off and straight on and straight off and everything, and just progress on to bigger and bigger curbs and whatnot. And then that'll probably go to skate boxes, which will then help with trying to do manuals and grinds and slides on bigger skate boxes. I've seen skate boxes that are probably about a foot or so tall. So if I'm having problems at 4 inches, there's no way 12 inches is gonna work. And there's definitely taller ones as well. So so this is just kind of starting at the bottom and working that way up. And then the little things I just did there on flat ground, the there's the boneless and there's the switch boneless, and then there's just this other little foot plant variant kind of thing. And then of course I was practicing axle stalls on a quarter pipe with coping. I've done it now once on the quarter pipe from the skate park that has no coping. That's the same size of the one and probably the same amount of transition as the one I have at home, but it has no coping. and so now it's different with coping. And also because my ramp isn't stationary and the entry onto the ramp isn't really all that great, it's a little different. And I think I tend to lose speed on this one more than I did on the other one. But I'm going to keep working on that, and so hopefully in one of these videos coming up real soon, I'll be able to get those down and just get better at them and better. And I'm not sure really what I'm going to do next on transition. I'm thinking maybe the next thing I'll work on once I get that down is probably rock and rolls. I've tried them on just this little tiny, so one of the skate parks I go to, they have just this little ledge. It's probably not even a foot. It's probably like maybe 8 inches or something like that. And that's where I first started progressing up with axle stalls. But I tried to do a rock and roll on it, and I don't know what it was. But I think that what I'm missing is I think I need to get further up. So when I get into the rock position, instead of being in the middle of the board at the lip, I think it needs to be more, the board needs to be further up, and it needs to be, my back wheels need to be closer to it. So that's just an idea. I haven't actually tried that, but the next time I go to a skate park, I'll probably try that, and then if that actually is the case, or whatever it is, however I get it to work out on that, I'll then progress to probably the ramp without coping, and then to my ramp with coping. I like this. It seems to be safer, and it seems to be more effective at me trying to learn these things a little quicker versus just trying to go for the one with coping, and one, it's more dangerous, and two, it's if you don't kind of already have the movements down, and or at least a solid foundation of skateboarding, which I don't have. I don't have like a bunch of base tricks down. I'm just getting my base tricks down right now. So like, I mean, like if I can already do rock and rolls, rock to fakies, and whatever, and then I try to do a a frontside rock and roll where instead of kick turning backside, instead kick turn front side, which is the more difficult one, I think. At least if I have getting the board up there and okay, the timing down of when to start the kick turn and how much speed I need to get that far up without going too far or without going not far enough. If I have that foundation down, it's going to make it easier then to learn with the variation of a front side rock and roll versus just the regular rock and roll. Same thing with axle stalls. If you can do that backside axle stall where when you do your turn to put your axles on the transition, you're now facing the middle of the ramp or your driveway or whatever it is, versus doing a front side one where now your back is facing the ramp instead. But at least if you'll have the timing down, and if you have a foundation as well for front side kick turns, then that's going to make that, learning that front side axle stall a lot easier and safer. But if I just tried to, hey, I'm going to skate up to the top of that ramp and try to do an axle stall, but I've never done a kick turn before, that's when it starts to get, unnecessarily dangerous. I mean, it's not like it's going to kill me or anything like that. I mean, sure, technically I could have, I could get people have broken collarbones and their ankles. That's what I'm trying to say. Their ankles and things like that on even 2-foot quarter pipes. So I mean, there is some danger there. Either way, why get injured if you don't have to? Anyways, so I think I'll keep trying that. Start with the small one with no coping, then move to the normal 2-foot size one with no coping, and then to my one at home with coping, and then move back to the other park with that steeper transition, and maybe even over to another side where there's a bigger transition, and start working on trying that. I'm going to start working on trying rock and rolls on that 3-foot quarter pipe with the brick transition. It's going to be weird with that brick transition, but now that I can get up and, I don't think that was on the last video, but I can actually get up and over that little hump now. I'll show you on another video whenever I go to the park next. But yeah, I can make it up over that now, so now that helps to get me enough speed. So now I just have to be able to increase my speed going into the hump, so I have more speed going down the hump, so I then have more speed coming up onto that 3-foot brick face transition to get me up to the top. Because I've noticed that if I don't get high enough, it's hard to do a rock to fakie. You really need to get the middle of that board up there, at least. If like your wheels just barely hit, are just barely above the coping, it's very difficult. I don't really know why, but it's more difficult than if you get your wheels further past that transition, past the coping there. That's just something that I've noticed. So yeah, I'll need to figure out how to get some more speed, and my guess is I need to hit that hump with more speed so that I can then have more speed. So I need to get more. So basically what I'm doing is I'm coming across the flats, I'm going down an embankment, up an embankment, and then it's maybe 2 feet to get to the hump, and then up the hump and down the hump, and I'm making it to the top of the hump, and pretty much by the time I get to the top of the hump, I've lost pretty much all my speed, and then I'm just going down the hump, which it's maybe a 1.5 foot tall hump. So then trying to hit a 3-foot quarter, I mean, I can get my front wheels just about to the coping. So if I can just get some more speed, I should definitely have enough. But what I'll have to do is when I'm coming across that first flat, I'm gonna have to get a lot of speed, so that then when I go down that embankment, I'll gain more speed to come up that next embankment, which is taller, and maintain enough speed to where I don't almost stall out at the top, but instead I have good speed up at that top of that hump. And so it'll be a little bit of work and a process to get used to going fast enough across that flat and then dropping down that first embankment. I think I'm fine with enough speed coming up the next embankment. It'll just be that sudden drop off of that first embankment at a higher rate of speed than I'm used to. That'll be what I have to get used to, I think. And once I'm good there, I'll have enough speed, and I'll be able to get up over that hump there with enough speed to then get me up to the top of that quarter. Or I can just race across the whole park there instead with enough speed to get up the embankment and then kick once or twice, real quick. And then get to that 3-foot quarter. But what I don't like about that is I either need enough speed coming up that embankment to then carry me across the flat and then up the quarter pipe, or I need to kick again once I get up to the flat before getting to the quarter pipe. And you have to put that foot back on the board and make sure, and I really like to make sure my foot placement is just right on the board, so it just doesn't give you enough time with kicking to then put your foot back on the board, make sure it's in that perfect spot, that sweet spot, I guess, before hitting the ramp and getting up it. So I'd rather go up and do the hump. Plus it's fun anyways. So anyways, hope you liked the video, and I'm hoping I'm still able to keep doing stuff like this YouTube channel, the podcast, the Instagrams and stuff, but it's probably going to be rocky for a little while I deal with these finances. So let's see what happens, and thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell other people about the channel. Thanks.